Hello, everybody. Welcome to my show, y'all. So I'm going live today. I'm actually going to be doing two shows. So I'm doing this show first, and then I'm going to be doing the second show today, which I'll be doing my Black History Sunday segment today. And so on my Black History Sunday segment, I do it every Sunday. I talk about Black history, things that we have done in the past that have paved the way for this country. And so today I'm gonna be talking about in my Black History Sunday, I'm talking about all of the Black towns, communities that were burnt down or destroyed in the early 20th century. So I'm gonna be talking about that later today. But I wanted to do this show because I wanted to talk about this topic. This is a topic that means a whole lot to me, which is all about Black people's mental health as well as our emotions, right? I did a show talking about, the hatred that Black women receive in society. And when I did that show, I had a lot of criticism, a lot of hate comments from people, actually specifically a lot of Black men who did not like the show. And I know the more I post on YouTube, I will have more haters. It's just a part of the process, a part of, becoming your best self. You're going to have people who are going to oppose you, people that are going to reflect your light. So I'm aware, even with this show today, I might have haters, right? But I'm going to talk about the invalidation of Black people's emotions and mental health, which is a topic. I think Black mental health is something that needs to be talked about more, right? I feel like in today's society, Black people are actually dehumanized quite a lot. We're seen as being so strong, right? We're so strong, like we should be able to get through all these obstacles whatsoever, specifically with Black women. There's the strong Black woman narrative, which I've talked about that in the past, which is this narrative that Black women are just super strong. We're superwoman. We need to like be able to fight the battles. And there's almost this energy towards Black women like we're not allowed to be emotional, because when we are emotional, then we're being, loud, we're too much, right? Even weird. There's even been times, Black women, they express certain things and they're considered weird, right? Black women can have anxiety, right? Black women can have social anxiety. Black women can struggle internally. Black women can be suicidal, right? Black women can feel overwhelmed, right? I think there is this, again, this narrative that has always been pushed that Black women are, just because we are so strong, we've gone through the civil rights movement, everything that has been thrown our way, we're able to conquer it because we are naturally strong. But it's not because we want to be strong, it's because we had to be strong, right? You have to be strong, even in the workplace. For you to really do well in the workplace, you have to be very strong, right? Because you're going to have all kinds of things thrown at you as a Black woman, especially if you are wanting to get into corporate, or if you're wanting to get a leadership position, or even if you want to start your own business, you want to just be a big name in society, period. You have to go through trials and errors, right? And the thing that's different between men versus Black women is that Black women don't not only have to deal with racism, but Black women have to deal with misogyny, sexism, right? And the patriarchal, society. They have to deal with that. So on top of being a woman, right? So a lot of the time, Black women, people will say, Black men go through these things, which I have empathy for Black men. And that's something I'm going to talk about as well. I'm going to be talking about Black men as well in mental health. But Black men specifically, they go through a lot of obstacles as well, right? They have had to fight as well, right? They've had the world constantly throwing all these stereotypes and titles at them as well, right? We have to understand with specifically with women, though. Women, we are naturally feminine. We are naturally built emotionally in a way where we're not as strong, right? Men naturally are not as emotional, right? Men are taught to be, macho. They're taught to not feel. They're taught to not cry. They're taught to not grieve. They just have to be strong all the time. right? But women specifically, we are naturally very intuitive. We're naturally very emotional, right? We're just very, we feel more. It's normal for a woman to feel, right? And so, even as women in our natural elements, Black women still have this pressure on them to just kind of just suck it up. Oh, just suck it up. And even people gaslight Black women a lot because a Black woman could be going through something and she could be expressing herself. She could be saying, I'm going through racism in the workplace. I'm going through racism, colorism. And every time a Black woman speaks up about that, she gets a lot of backlash. People like to gaslight her a lot, right? They like to gaslight and be like, no, it's not as bad as you're making it. No, you're just playing victim. And to me, that's very wrong, right? To me, it's like we need to allow Black people to feel their emotions. We need to allow Black women to be upset, right? We don't know what somebody has gone through, right? And one thing I've noticed, like specifically within racism, right? I feel like people of other races have become very comfortable trying to tell Black people that they should not be feeling this way, or that they're just overly reacting, right? Or they're just playing victim, right? And I understand there is a sense of autonomy we have to have within ourselves. But as a person who is not of color, that is not your responsibility or anybody's responsibility to tell another group of people how they should be feeling, especially if you have never been through that. If you have never gone through those things, there is so much that other people have not gone through. That's not your place to tell somebody what they should be feeling. Like specifically with women outside of the Black community, right? There is this thing, if you see a very emotional woman, she's going to get empathy, right? She's going to get empathy. People are going to want to cuddle her. People are going to want to really make her feel better, do whatever, right? Even back in the day, and I'm going to talk about this. Actually, this is a good show before I go into my Black History Sunday, because actually the show today I'm doing is about the Black towns that were burnt down. You want to know what started the controversy? What you want to know, what actually pushed people to burn down these towns, like the influence that caused these people outside the Black community to literally be violent towards our communities, is a lot of the time there would be allegations with white women saying that a Black man could have R-worded them, or a Black man could have tried assaulting them. And so because a white woman was scared for her life because of a because of a Black man, even though a lot of the time these were lies. A lot of the time, white women were lying on Black men because racism was a big thing. The automatic response of these white men was to attack our towns and to burn down our towns, right? And that's why all of these towns got burned down, was because of the allegations that white women would make, false allegations of white women saying that they were harassed or assaulted by a Black man. And we're going to talk about that later today, right? It's kind of the same thing in society today. It might not be necessarily to that same degree, but that still sort of happens, where white tears are taken more seriously, right? And this is not me saying that other races don't need to feel. I think when a person outside my race is upset, I want to help them, because I don't look at people for color. But specifically when other races of women are sad, they get more attention, right? When a Black woman is sad, she's seen as overreacting. She could be seen as being too loud. She could be seen as just making a fuss. And even the men in our own communities kind of do the same thing. They will say the same thing, be like, oh, that Black woman, she's too much. She's too much for me. I can't date Black women because they too much for me, right? But it's like, historically, when you look at all that we have been through as a people, specifically with Black women have been through a whole lot. And people don't give Black women grace. And I also feel people don't give Black men grace, right? I did this post. I'm going to talk about it because I wanted to kind of clear something up, and I just wanted to make something very clear, right? So I did this post, right? And I was just saying, there's always that debate talking about, should black women date outside of the race? Should we just be race loyal or whatever? For me, my stance is you do what's best for you, right? I love to see black couples. I love black love. And even myself, I would love to one day, if God blesses me with a good black man, I would love that. Right? I'm not against any sort of connection, right? Regardless if it's interracial or if it's black relationship, right? But I was just saying, I understand because black women have gone through a lot of colorism in their community. When it comes to dating, colorism is a thing with black women, right? And if you look at the statistics and all that, it's a whole big thing, right? I'm not going to go too deep into it because this is not the video for it, but I was just saying, we need to respect each other more. Specifically black men, with the colorism with black men is a very big issue in our community, right? And we got into the conversation in the comments of healing, right? And we need to acknowledge black men's emotions and that they have to deal with all this trauma. And we have to understand black women have to deal with that as well. Black women have to deal with all that stuff, like the ancestral lineage trauma. Even when it comes to the households, there's a lot of black women who are in single mother households. The wounds from their black mothers, the wounds from never seeing their black fathers. The list goes on. Just generational trauma, colorism trauma. Then on top of that, they have to deal with the racism trauma that is in society of today. So black women, we have to heal a whole lot, right? And I understand that. And I get that. But it's like at the same time, we have to be accountable as a community, right? We have to be accountable for our healing. And that's why I'm making this live today, because we have to be accountable for our healing, right? I think it's important for black men to acknowledge what they're going through. Again, men in general have a hard time acknowledging the trauma that they go through because men have pressure on them to be hard all the time, to not feel like put money, work. A lot of people use work, going to the gym, hustling as a way to kind of hide from how they feel, right? Kind of hide from how they feel, right? And I feel like as a black people, specifically a lot of successful black people, at times if you have more money and you're doing really well, sometimes there's a tendency to reject your emotional health and reject how you feel because you have had to be strong for so long, right? And I think it's important for us to acknowledge that, right? But we also, when it comes to healing, we have to be accountable. We can't make somebody heal, right? We can't make somebody go to therapy. We can't make somebody, sit down and do shadow work and write down what their trauma is. We can't make people elevate. People have to make that decision on their own, right? They have to make that decision on their own. And you have some people, they will never make that decision, unfortunately. Because it's easier to be a victim and it's easier to not heal than it is to heal. Does it make any sense? It's easier for me to deny my reality. I'm going through this, right? And to find a way to deny this or project or to victim blame. It's much easier to do that. Unfortunately, because of how the way a lot of our black men have been raised, a lot of our black men have been raised to completely reject any sort of healing ideologies. And, I'm still spiritual, y'all, even with the spiritual community, right? When I was working heavily in the spiritual communities, or when I was in the spiritual community heavier than I am now, it was mainly women who I would work with or women who I met in that community, right? Was there men sometimes, but it was mostly women, right? And so mostly women are naturally more intuitive and more feminine and more in touch with their emotions. It's just a natural part of our being, right? Men, it's uncomfortable for them. It's not easy as 1, 2, 3 for a man to sit down and do the work necessary. Look at his childhood. right? Look at, the beliefs he has been taught, right? Look and be like really even clock himself, go into past relationships he has been in. It is not easy for men to do that because they have been taught to do the opposite. For them, doing that is almost weakness to them, right? It's almost like weakness to them, right? And so I was just saying there's a lot of women who are doing the work, who have healed a lot, and who are ready to settle down and who are ready to get married. And I said, I believe that who your partner is not all about race. I'm open to interracial relationships. I'm open to that idea of that. I'm open to other people getting into them. I've dated interracially in the past myself because I was learning lessons about specific things, right? But some people, their partner might not be Black, specifically Black women, because you have a lot of Black women. They are doing the work. You have so many Black women who talk about they're on their healing journey, they're on their celibacy journey. I mean, they're just doing the dang work, right? And they're ready for marriage. And then they might be feeling like in their heart, oh, maybe I should wait for a Black man. But the Black men who they're entertaining might not be as healed as them or on that same level as them. And I believe sometimes God will send you a partner who's more in alignment with you. And when it comes to like specifically dark skinned women have to face so much colorism more than everybody else when it comes to dating. They deal with it a lot. And there's so many men outside the Black community who love dark skinned women, right? There's this one TikTok that went viral of mine years ago, and it was my response to a white man who had a colorist ideology, right? If y'all go on my TikTok at Lacey Ariel, and there's a response I did like from a woman in my comments. She was saying, men outside Black community who really love Black women love dark skinned Black women, right? And I responded with a comedy sketch talking about with a Black comedian talking about this and doing his comedy sketch, and it got millions of views, right? It got a million some views because you have so many Black men as well are healing too. I will say there is Black men who are healing. I don't want to just focus on them not healing, but there's so many men outside the Black community who love dark skinned women, love them, right? And how I talk to women, I want women to open up their options. I'm not saying stop dating Black men. I'm not saying you need to stop. What I'm saying is that you need to open your options. So being like, if a man outside my race I come across them and they're interested, okay, I'll take a chance out of it. I'll take a chance. I'm not going to just say no and decline it just because they're not Black, right? Just because they're not Black, I'm going to just say no, right? That's how I always say, just keep your mind open because you don't know what God has for you, right? But people took it as me coming for Black men, saying, oh, I think all Black men are disrespectful. I don't think so. That's not true. My father is not like that. My father is not like that. My father's a respectful Black man. I was raised with my father. I know respectful Black men, So I'm not saying all, but there is a large group of Black men who are unconscious and who are emotionally unaware, and they really thrive on toxic masculinity. They thrive in that world. That's who they are, right? They don't want to go to therapy, say, I reject therapy. I don't believe in therapy, right? I will never pay for a therapist. And a lot of the time, what will end up happening, men will tell women that they have to do the work. So you will have a lot of men, they'll be like to their wives or to their partners or to even random women say, oh, you're the crazy one, or you need to go to therapy. And they refuse to go to therapy. They want to blame everything on the Black woman, right? They want to blame the Black woman, and they don't want to take accountability. There's a large group of men who are like that, right? A large group of men who are like that. And it's like, as when it comes to our healing journeys, we have to be accountable. We can't just simply tell somebody that they need to heal without healing ourselves. We also have to do the healing. For years, I've been doing the healing work. I've been into this whole healing journey thing since 2014. At a very young age, I started healing, right? And I believe in healing. I believe healing is possible. I believe healing is powerful. I feel like my healing journey has helped me conquer things and that really I thought I could never get past, right? But you have to do the work. You have to sit down and be like, I'm going to do this. You have to commit to it. Cuz even with me, I've been celibate for years. If I told y'all how long I've been celibate, y'all couldn't even believe it. I've been celibate for years, y'all. Have abstained in sex, practiced fasting for years. I've done it all. When it came to the healing community, right? And even when you're healing, we sometimes in the spiritual community, there's an expectation that's put on healing. Oh, if we heal, then this is going to happen during this time frame. For some people, healing takes years. Absolutely years. There's people who've been healing for 20 some years, they're still not healed yet. And actually, if you think about it, there is no such thing as fully healed, right? Because actually, this whole lifetime we're going to be healing. And the thing is that one phase of your life, you can believe that this so-called truth that you have is true. And then the next part of your journey, you might completely debunk that truth and be like, I don't believe in that anymore. That's not my truth anymore. Right. And for the longest time, I can relate because I used to have the mindset that I would have to get with a specific person or with a specific black man. I believe that for the longest time I was so set on it. But now that I've kind of like evolved, I have my options open. I've opened my mind, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just be open to whatever God has for me, whatever the universe has for me. So to clock that, right? So we have to understand that healing is a journey and we don't need to put any expectation on that journey. And as a black woman or even a black man as well, I'm good because I'm going to say it for black men as well. If you meet somebody you're in love with, right, and they're a different race, why stop yourself? Why same thing with women, but I really talk to black women heavy because black women are extremely race loyal. We're one of the most race loyal groups of women, right? So yes, I always say don't put an expectation on everything because you never know what could happen to you, right? But going back to the topic, right? I feel like sometimes as black people, we invalidate our emotions, our own emotions, and other groups of people also invalidate our emotions because of racism, right? And I think it's important for us to acknowledge that it is okay to feel. It is okay to be like, I'm not really feeling this right now. I need to heal this. I have trauma. It's okay. And the thing, like I said, I've been on a healing journey for years, been celibate for years. And I can tell you on my journey is that, there's going to be times where you're just crying. You're just crying. You don't know what's going on with you, right? You don't know what's happening to you, right? You're just not going to understand. And it's okay to feel. It's okay to be angry, right? It's okay to like look back at your ancestral bloodline and all the things that have happened and not feel okay with that. I don't think people give us enough of a enough of permission to do that, right? And I always say it's important to have healthy ways of expressing your emotion. So writing in a journal, right? Working out, punching, like boxing, that's a good form of getting anger out. Right, right? Cry, right? And specifically with black men, it's important for them to do these things. A lot of the time, black men have responsibilities on them. Like they have to take care of their household. They have to go to work. They have to take care of their families, right? They have to, do all these things, right? And It's like it's okay to just sit down out of all those responsibilities you have. It's okay to be like, you know what? I'm just going to chill out today. I'm just going to like go within today, right? It's okay to cry as a black man if you were hurt by your mother. Like, you know what I saw a vision of? I saw a vision of just a bunch of black men in a room together, just crying about the pain they went through with their mothers. Allow yourself to feel like, I wish my mother was more present with me. I wish my mother was more compassionate with me. I wish my father was there. I wish that I could have had somebody more nurturing in my life, right? Admit that to yourself, because what's happening if you don't, you're going to build up all this trauma in your body, and then it's going to manifest as health issues. Because actually, there's this one video, and and this was like a couple years ago. It went viral on TikTok, and it was this nurse talking about how right now there's so many black men who are dying young. And when they die young, I mean, they're in the hospitals and they don't have any loved ones, no one there. They're just dying alone, and they be good looking men. And she was just saying how she would talk to these men and she would ask them, hey, so where's your wife? Well, where's your family? Right. And and she said they would say, well, in my younger years, I was a player. In my younger years, I didn't treat women right. Right. In my younger years, I didn't treat my kids right. Right. And so a lot of black men are dying. And actually, if you look at statistics, right, statistics show that men die younger and die earlier when they don't have a partner versus women who actually live longer when they have a partner, right? When they live longer when they don't have a partner. So with women, it is easier and it's actually healthier for women to be single, where with men it's actually not as healthy to be single, and actually men benefit more from marriage and benefit more from having a counterpart over time, right? And so when we look at that statistic, we have to understand these men are not really, they're not, the thing specifically also with black men, they're not dying older, they're dying younger. And a part of the reason why they're dying younger is because they're not dealing with their trauma. And this is why I say black men need to heal. This is why I say black men need to heal, because black men are actually dying at a much faster rate than black women are when it comes to their health and all these things. And when you stuff your anger, it turns into cancer. It turns into health issues, right? When you don't deal with this trauma and you don't deal with these emotions, right? And it manifests in your love life. There's this other video I saw where this younger woman, she was talking about how, a lot of older men, right? They want to settle down for younger women. And she was just saying, well, a lot of older men, throughout their 20s and 30s, they were being a player. They were giving their bodies away. And now they're in their 50s and 60s, and now they're crying about how they don't have a partner, they need a partner. Right. And she was just saying a lot of us are not going to deal with that because you're used up. Right. And, being a young person, when you're in your 20s, you don't really see how the long-term effects of your actions are going to play out. Right. In your early 20s, you might think it's cool to be like, I'm going to be a player. I'm going to mistreat people. All of this. Right. But actually, the older you get, you'll start seeing the repercussions of your actions playing out. And a lot of black women are just they're number one, we have to understand black women, we are healing ourselves, right? We're in a healing journey as well. So the same things that black men are healing, which is the ancestral lineage trauma, the broken households, dysfunctional, masculinity and femininity energies and all this spiritual stuff. Us as Black women, we're healing that as well. We're also healing it, but Black women will still, even healing all of that, will still be race loyal to Black women, to Black men. They will still be race loyal. And we will still have people's backs and be the rocks of people around us. People consider us the superwoman, the strong Black woman, all these things. We still are getting our educations, even after all that we have been through as a people. Right? And so if we can have that strength, I want our Black men to also have that strength, because sometimes us as Black women are not going to be able to be there because we are going through our own thing. And when we are going through our own thing, you have to be accountable, and you have to do the work yourself, because there's not going to always be a woman there to assist you with this healing work that's happening. So it's important for men to take accountability and be like, I'm going to do this healing work, even though I don't have that Black woman right now holding my hand, able to cry with me, able to hug me, able to kiss me, able to nurture me. I'm going to start doing the work, because I, as a Black man, need to heal, and it's going to help me in my future. It's going to also benefit my future kids for them to have a healed father. It's going to help my children, right? And so we have to understand the things that we don't want to do, we have to do it. Just the same thing with health. It's like health, because you don't just have physical body health where you have to eat healthy, you have to go to the gym. You also have your emotional health, you have your mental health, and you have your spiritual health, right? If you neglect all of those other healths other than your body, you're going to eventually come crashing down. Things are going to eventually start crumbling apart. Just like you go to the gym, you lift weights, you train your body, you build stamina. You have to do that with your emotions and your mind as well. You have to do that with your spirit as well. You have to train your spirit just like a muscle in your body. So most time, do we want to go to the gym? Absolutely not. And I'm probably the last person needing to talk, because I'm trying to go to the gym too. I have weight I'm trying to lose as well. But you know what I'm saying? You don't want to sit down and do shadow work. Most people don't want to sit down and do shadow work. Most people don't want to go to a therapy session. Just like most people don't want to go to the gym and do a weightlifting session or run on the treadmill. Most people don't want to do that. It's the same thing with your emotions and with healing. Most people don't want to heal, but guess what? The effects of healing will look wonderful on you. Just like the effects of going to the gym and eating healthy will look wonderful on your physical body. It will also look wonderful on your emotions as well. Right? And like I said, reason why men have issues with healing is because they have never been taught to heal. You can't do something that you've never been taught. You don't know any better, right? But it's important to take those steps. Now we have the internet, we have Google, we have online groups, we have Chat GPT. When I tell you, I use Chat GPT all the time for healing. Chat GPT will create print out worksheets for you, logs, a plan, all of that. Chat GPT will do all of that. Right? A shadow work plan or a feelings journaling plan. Chat GPT will do that. Chat GPT will give you lists of positive affirmations you can say. Chat GPT I want to low key, I'm thinking about making a live about that, because Chat GPT has changed the game when it came to healing. A lot of people talk about the bad effects of AI and how AI has screwed everything up, but actually there is positive with AI. Like, even just like the way Chat GPT can give you meanings of things, can help you with mental health. Chat GPT can help you. Chat GPT can be your therapist. Right? But you have to sit down and you have to do the healing work. It's not going to just happen. Does it make any sense? So, a lot of the time, even with the Bible, we sit down and we read our Bible. We sit down, we have spiritual time to ourselves. You need to do this for your trauma as well, for your mental health, right? Do that for your mental health as well, right? So that was something that I wanted to talk about. So I'm gonna play this video, y'all. And I was thinking about playing this video from the spiritual whistleblower. And it's talking about narcissism and how a lot of the time Black men will use will use a mask. They're not healing, they're actually just wearing a mask. I thought it was a good video. She is a little bit aggressive in that video. She does sound a little bit, I don't want to say hostile, but she just sounds very stern. But I thought it was a good point because I feel like a lot of time we do wear masks, and women do the same thing. Black women also wear a mask, right? We sometimes can do these things to mask how we truly feel inside, right? And at the end of the day, like, just because you look good, just because you look look like a perfect 10, doesn't mean you're going to be happy. Doesn't mean that you're a healed person. Just because your life looks perfect, you're making all the money, you live in this nice apartment, you have a nice car, doesn't mean that you're healed. Because at the end of the day, there's so many people, they are millionaires and they feel awful on the inside. There's people who are looking like whole models out here, right? Who are feeling terrible, who have a lot of healing they need to do. They have a lot of healing they need to do. And like I said, healing does not happen overnight, right? It's something that takes time, right? So we have to understand this as well. So I'm gonna play this video though, y'all, because I like this video as well. I thought it was good. So yes, let me play it for y'all real quick. And she's talking about the pressure that women have on them to help men with healing.
I fully agree. Men's mental health does matter. That said, why aren't they making it matter, right? Why is it a woman's job to make it matter? While they're spending all of their time criticizing us and judging us for the communities and the spaces that we built to support each other and love each other and understand each other, while they're judging us for doing that, maybe if they created some of those spaces of their own, they wouldn't be so fucking lonely. Maybe instead of protecting and safeguarding all the money and the assets you actually don't have, maybe you could focus on protecting and safeguarding each other, but not in the boys will be boys way, but more so in the way of holding each other accountable, which I know makes you guys uncomfortable because you don't actually speak to each other, but that's a whole different conversation.
So that was just like a little video. I'm gonna play some more videos, y'all, as well, that I really liked.
Is how we seek comfort in cages. And I know I'm going to lose a lot of you to this video, but I want you to stick around and understand and listen to what I'm going to tell you. See, as Black men, we've learned to survive by controlling what we can, right? So hustle culture, daydreams, gym obsession, ghosting, being your meat, right? These things give us the illusion of control, right? They don't ask us questions. They don't ask us to be vulnerable. They don't disappoint us, right? But they don't give back what they take either. We call them outlets, but over time, what do they become? They become our identities. They become our personalities, right? Not joy, not healing, but habits dressed up as a personality. This is what happens when coping feels like control. Because let's keep it real. A lot of Black boys are born into silence. Our fathers didn't speak their hearts. Our uncles showed love through distance or critique. Our communities taught us how to survive and not feel, so we adapted to those circumstances, right? Some of us filled that silence with books, some of us with sex, others with weed, some even with anime, capitalism, religion, or aesthetics. Doesn't matter what it was. We didn't pick it for joy, we picked those things for shelter. And we confused the shelter for self, right? So this is what happens when we inherit silence and then customize it. Here's the crazy twist. Just because something feels good doesn't mean it's good for you. But we're masters at justifying that, right? I need this to unwind. It inspires me. This is how I love, right? That's not how we're supposed to work, man. A lot of what we call agency is really just avoidance in disguise. And nobody tells us that because we look like we've got it all together. This is what happens when pleasure isn't peace. Because let me ask you this, black man. Have you ever been alone for so long that your coping started to feel like a connection? Chat GBT feels better than a real conversation. YouTube feels safer than your friends and family. Silence starts to feel like safety. But what it all really is starvation, right? You think you're healing in isolation, but really you're just rehearsing your pain on loop. This is what happens when isolation tricks you into thinking that you're okay. And the wild part about all this is the world rewards our numbness to a degree, right? You stay quiet, they call you stoic. You isolate yourself, oh, he's low key. You intellectualize your pain, oh, he's deep. But deep down, you're just comfortably numb, right? You think, this is just who I am. I like being alone. But the real question that a lot of black men fail to ask ourselves is, what would you be if you weren't trying to protect yourself every second? See, the cost of silence is everything. The consequences of living a lifestyle that revolves around numbness is they don't show up all at once. They creep in. So first, you stop trusting real love. Second, you can't finish what you start. Third, you choose people who feel safe because they never challenge you, right? And before you know it, your comfort zone is a prison cell. And the scariest part about all of it is you can't even tell when it happened. It's like emotional carbon monoxide. It's quiet, it's invisible, but it's deadly. But here's the hard truth that I personally had to admit to myself recently. A part of me got used to that pain, right? It became a structure for me. Nobody stayed, but that fantasy did. Nobody understood me, but them crash outs, the music, the weed, the silence, all that stuff understood me. So I held on to those things, right? Because at least it felt like something to me. But here's the real escape. It's not about leveling up. It's not about growing up. It's not about even being better. It's about being honest with ourselves. I'm talking about spiritually honest, emotionally honest, radically honest. When I mean honest, I mean saying things to ourselves like, this version of me is just pain that adapted. This pleasure is just trauma that wants to be held. This peace I claim is just avoidance with a nice name, right? And when you say those things, when you get that real with yourself, that's when the question becomes clear. Do I keep protecting my pain or do I start protecting my healing?
I loved his video, y'all. I love it when black men can help other black men, right? Because I feel like, and even within the schools, right? I wish that there is more support groups for black students' mental health, right? I think that's so important for our kids at a very young age to understand that they are understood. I feel like we need to bring mental health practices like journaling and writing down how we feel. We need to bring that in the schools, right? We need to bring meditation in the schools. We need to bring all this in the schools because if kids can learn at a very young age how to become more self aware and how to become more emotionally intelligent within themselves and what they're going through, then they will be able to be a healthier adult. They will also be able to focus and concentrate more on their schoolwork. Because a lot of the time, why kids be having a problem in school is because of what's going on at home, because of the trauma they're going through, right? Like I remember when I was in the school district, I used to tell my students, I used to tell them if there's anything that you had a problem with, I had an open door policy. You can come in. Like I had kids who would come in all the time during lunch who would tell me what they were going through. And and I would be having these real conversations with my kids because they were in middle school, right? And so middle school is a very sensitive age, right? That's a very important age because it's that age before when they first come into being a teenager. Sometimes they might not be a teenager quite yet, but they're coming into teenagehood, right? And so they're going through puberty and they're trying to understand who they are. And it's very confusing age. And so I would have an open door policy, right? And so I think it's important for us to sit down, specifically with the kids, and let them know that it's okay. It's okay to feel a certain way. It's okay, right? So I'm going to play another video, y'all. But yeah, like, what do y'all think so far? It's just, I feel like our community, we need to, open up to each other instead of going back and forth. You get what I'm saying? Going back and forth. I'm going to play a video talking about black women.
The trope of the angry black woman is literally life-threatening to black women. Suppressing anger is actually life-threatening. I saw a clip from this podcast with Gabor Mate yesterday, essentially talking about how a lot of the time, the people who are socialized to take on everybody else's problems and not have boundaries are women. It's like, actually, black women.
Disease, which are diseases where the immune system attacks the body that is supposed to protect. 80% of them happen to women. Why? These people had 4 significant characteristics. One is they tended to put other people's emotional needs ahead of their own. Number 2, they tended to identify with duty, role, and responsibility rather than the needs of the self. Number 3, they tended to be very nice, which means they repressed healthy anger. And number 4,
We're scared of being angry black women.
no, those beliefs lead you into not saying no to the demands of the world.
Having no boundaries, because the emotion that tells me that my boundaries are crossed, anger, is stigmatized as a black woman.
And you're constantly taking on stuff and stress and other people's stress, you get stressed. That stress undermines the immune system, which then turns against you.
I'm expected to be warm, be nice, say nothing in the face of people crossing my boundaries. When you're able to convince me that the emotion that tells me that my boundaries are being crossed should be suppressed because the world is afraid of my anger and the world is afraid of me expressing anger, instantly you have me. I can be exploited as much as you want. My boundaries can be crossed however you want. I'm noticing how dangerous it is to not be able to express anger. It's literally life-threatening. So much of how the world has conditioned me to be afraid of my own anger. I mean, I'm afraid of my own anger. So if I cannot have boundaries with some of the people who are closest to me, anger is the emotion that tells me my boundaries are being crossed. Anger is the emotion that lets me protect myself. If I cannot have anger, if I cannot protect myself, if I cannot keep myself safe, I'm so screwed. Because I will say yes to everything. Imagine, close your eyes. Imagine yourself getting on a bus. Your bus driver is a black woman or your bus driver is a white man. Instantly, do you feel more safety? Yes, the answer is probably yes. They tell people, if you're ever in danger, look around, go to a black woman. We are supposed to be the mothers of everyone else. We're supposed to be the ones who take care of everyone else. And you know what? We also have the highest incidences of autoimmune diseases. One of the markers for how we lend lupus and SLE is prevalent in people of African American descent who are female. SLE is systemic lupus erythematosus. That is lupus. That is an autoimmune illness. And when he talks about autoimmune illnesses being prevalent, 80% of it being in women, I thought to myself, I want to see that breakdown racially. I want to see that breakdown in terms of race. What about in black women? Because I am convinced that so much of the anger that I'm not able to express outward because the world is so scared of my anger and my expression of having boundaries is at the root of my exploitation, right? Because me not being able to express boundaries or have boundaries or express anger leaves me open to exploitation, leaves me open to saying yes to everyone and taking on everyone's shit all the time, right? Not being able to say, you know what, I don't like that. In fact, when I do express boundaries and say, you know what, I deserve better and I don't want to do that, there's a sense of how dare you? You should be grateful to be here. How dare you know that you deserve better? How dare you have standards? How dare you have boundaries? And that is supposed to be this sense of, oh, black women are so scary. A black woman who respects herself, oh, so scary. She's not scary. They're not scary. What's scary is the inability of folks to exploit them. Encountering a black woman who will not allow herself to be used or exploited or abused is scary to a system where her inability to know her worth is central to its success. It's at the root of its ability to thrive and continue to mistreat us. Us being willing participants in our own exploitation is upholding patriarchy, is upholding capitalism, is the reason why we are paid the least for doing the same amount of work. My inability to express my anger and say I have boundaries, I deserve better, is what the system is predicated upon. An angry black woman is not scary. An angry black woman is just challenging the very systems that everybody else benefits from by saying, I refuse to be dehumanized. I'm a human being. I deserve equal rights, equal opportunities. I deserve to have what you have. I'm going to treat myself well. I'm going to ask for more. And you know what ends up happening? We're made the problem. We're kicked out of spaces. People make up all kinds of allegations and paint us to be a certain way. Unprofessional. We're unprofessional. We are hard to work with. We're difficult. In fact, a difficult Black woman is a free Black woman. An angry Black woman is a free Black woman because enough is fucking enough. Enough is enough. I'm not here to continue to participate in my own oppression, my own dehumanization by not having boundaries, by not getting up and saying, you know what? I'm not being paid enough. I'm not being supported. I'm not being given the appropriate accommodations I need at this job. I'm not being given the support I was promised. Beautiful. So cute. I'm not being given the things I was told I would get. Enough is enough. I don't want that anymore. I don't want to be mistreated. It takes me feeling into my anger to know where my boundaries are. It takes me feeling into my humanity, me being connected to myself. It is a sacred thing. It is an honoring of my fucking ancestors to feel into my anger, say, you know what? That didn't feel good. That thing that person just said did not feel good. It did not feel good what that person just said to me. I did not appreciate how they spoke to me. I deserve better. My anger is resistance. Black women are supposed to be at the bottom of the totem pole in every single regard. We're supposed to be the ones who show up and say, thank you so much for letting me come in here and be at the table. And we're saying, no, me being at the table is a gift. My perspective is showing you the way. You need me here. And I'm going to take myself elsewhere if you don't give me what I need. And people are like, you are the problem. You know what? There was always a problem. But the problem benefited those who were there, so they didn't point it out. It's very easy to make me the problem, but I was not the problem. I was just the one who the problem was not benefiting. The problem was actively killing. This is life and death. This is life and death. It's not a joke. Black women's anger is sacred. Work through your shit so you can hold space for our boundaries and our anger. Go to your therapist and sit through discomfort. My anger is here to stay. My anger will liberate and free me. My anger will keep me alive and not send me to an early grave. My anger is so important. So important. My boundaries, my humanity, my self-respect is so fucking powerful. Make space in your life to hold that power. Let that energy move through your body. Hold space for your anger, demand better, and liberate you as well. If we're being mistreated, everybody else is being mistreated. We just feel it the most. We just feel it the most. Woo! That felt good. I am doing this for myself. I am doing this for my younger selves, who nobody stood up for because the women who came before me could not stand up for me as a kid. They could not have boundaries. They internalized self-hatred and shut up in the face of their own mistreatment. They were everybody's savior. They were everybody's source of help and support and mothering. We're calling Maya Angelou in the comment section. I just thought she's our mother. Black women will save us. No, I'm not here to save you. I'm here to save myself. When I'm socialized to be codependent so I can survive systems of oppression that will make me wrong for feeling anger, of course, I'm people pleasing enough to be everybody's mother, to take on other people's emotions, to be able to read them before they can read themselves. That's hypervigilance. That's a trauma response. I'm here to live for myself. And that statement is so threatening to so many systems of oppression at play. I've realized that the biggest political action I can engage in, is unlearning my codependence, unlearning my tendency towards wanting to be a savior, wanting to rescue. And as I've unlearned that, my life has gotten so much harder because people are like, this isn't what we signed up for. You said you were going to save us. That's why we let you in here. Everybody's job. You said you were going to, you told us. And you know, I did. There was a version of me that did. Yes. And now I'm like, nah, in my friendships, in my professional life, upside down. Because it's so threatening. And I'm doing this work and I'm doing it with so much righteous rage and justification, knowing that I have the sign off of my foremothers, ancestral lineage of women who couldn't do this in their lifetime. They're behind me. So if I'm coming at you and it's feeling like, whoa, it's because they're speaking to me, through me, with me. This is liberation. This is not a joke. My rage will set me free. My anger will set me free. Next time you think to call somebody an angry Black woman, take it in. Take that shit to your therapist. Black woman is making you uncomfortable. Take it to your therapist. And know that that is your anti-racist work. The discomfort you feel when Black women have boundaries, that's your contribution to anti-racism. Go do it.
Just wow. I like looking at her video, it made me I felt like she was setting me free just by her wait, she was talking. Yes, I could go on and on these videos, y'all. I'm gonna show more. But yeah, like I just think that people are always wanting to villainize black women. I'm going to show this video I told y'all about, which was the one with the spiritual whistleblower. I'm sorry, I can hardly say her name. Talking about narcissism of black men. Again, I for the black men, try to see what she's saying. Try not to get offended because again, the way she's talking is a little bit aggressive, but I understand what she's saying. So try and keep an open mind if you can. Again, it's okay to disagree, but this is this live is just to show different sides of one story.
Black men do not heal, they hide. Peep this video because I'm going to drop some free game, ladies. It is not your motherfucking responsibility to lay up there and be his therapist or his goddamn mother. Okay? Don't try to fix that broken man. That is his responsibility and his responsibility alone. Okay? And if he don't want to do the motherfucking work, cut his ass off high and dry and focus on your own healing. You go to therapy. You work on your goals. You get healthy. You go to the gym. You go to the doctor and get everything examined. Okay? Get tested for any types of cancer. Make sure you're up on your breast mammogram. You get a colonoscopy. Okay? Get that thyroid checked. You know, your entire uterus, the cervix. Make sure you don't have no fibroids. Get yourself together. Don't worry about that nigga. Because he don't want to fix himself. He don't want to go to therapy. You understand? I'm about to bust it down why the black man refuses to do the work required to heal himself. He prefers to hide. And there's different ways that he hides to, stop himself from working on himself. He's standing in his own way. And he will always point fingers. He will always lack accountability. It's always somebody else's fault because he won't look in that goddamn mirror and take accountability for his own mistakes. I first want to say that all black men are not like this. There's a small percentage of brothers that are sitting in therapy right now as we speak. There's a small percentage of brothers that said, hey, I'm not dating nobody. I'm going to be celibate. It's hard, because the flesh wants what it wants. Yeah, he gets horny, but he's practicing self-discipline. And right now, that good brother is sitting in therapy and he's consistently going week after week, month after month. He's in the gym. He's getting his body right. He's getting his mental right. He's eating healthy. He's getting himself together for his future wife. He understands that in order to elevate in life and to evolve and grow into the man that God called him to be, that kingdom man, he has to practice self-discipline. He has to break generational curses. He understands that his mother and father are toxic. His family is toxic. And so he distanced himself from his family because he refuses to allow his family's dysfunction to have any sort of access into his personal space. He has to focus, and he knows that his family will try to get in the way. They'll try to distract him from working on himself because they're fucking miserable and broken. So he knows how to put his family over there and keep them at a distance and out of his business and out of his life so he could focus. That's a king breaking generational curses. See, his mom and daddy will continue to be dysfunctional and they want to pass down that generational trauma and those generational curses onto him. And they're pissed off because he set a boundary. He said, no, mom and dad, y'all can't come over here. I can't live like y'all did. I'm changing the narrative. I'm changing the way that my family does things. Y'all are toxic and dysfunctional. And I can't, with the woman that I'm married, we're not going to be living like this. But I want to be right for my future bride. And I know I cannot be right for her until I work on myself. So he's going to get rid of all the distractions. He ain't going to be out in the streets. He values his body. So he's not going to be out here sleeping around. Yes, ladies, there are good black men that resist sex. They don't want to sleep around. They understand that, you know, a real man can turn down vagina. It's only the bums and lowlifes that are greedy and they got to sleep with multiple women to validate themselves. But a real king has discipline. A real king's not going to allow vagina to distract him from his goals. But a bum ass, lowlife, narcissistic fuckboy will never turn down vagina because he's weak minded. When we're talking about the black man with cluster B disorders, I'm talking about narcissistic personality disorder, antisocial personality disorder, borderline personality disorder, the Machiavellian, the master manipulator, the con artist, the whore. Motherfucker is out in these streets doing everything to distract himself from working on himself. Okay? He's got multiple baby mamas. He's got a woman and a wife, and he's got all these situationships going on. He's got female friends to distract him. He's got his toxic ass homeboys in the barbershop to distract him. He doesn't want to go to therapy. He doesn't want to get his mental right. He has created his own form of therapy. The fuckboy's therapy is running to the barbershop and listening to these broken ass men talk shit about their wives behind the back. Okay, he's sitting up taking toxic advice from these niggas that go to the barbershop and they shitting on their wives and cheating on their wives and they laughing and talking about their wives in the fucking barbershop. That's what he thinks is therapy. Or he's sitting up listening to his mama. His mama's a whole jump off, a side chick, a bitter bitch that done got ran through and dog walked by every fucking nigga she been with. And he runs to his mama to gossip. Bitch ass nigga. Why would he take advice from his mama and her whole life is fucked up? You think she wants to see her son happy with another woman? She's going to be jealous of her son showing his wife, his woman, you know, affection because she never had a nigga treat her that way. What type of advice you think she going to give her son? See, these niggas they need to cut their toxic mommies off. Mommy's miserable and misery loves company. But the nigga is weak and he will not detach from his toxic narcissistic mommy. And that's why he always runs off a good woman, because a good woman is not going to stick around and deal with him or his trifling mama and the rest of his toxic family and friends. You ever wonder why, you know, that narcissist, you know, you break up with him and the next day he's already in a new fucking relationship? See, you are going to take the time. You're going to stay single after the breakup. You're not trying to jump into no new relationship. There's an understanding that we as adults, when you go through heartbreak after a relationship is over, it's ended, especially when there's cheating involved, it's time to stay single. It's time to reflect back on the mistakes. You know, of course he cheated, he abused you, but you too must take accountability and self-evaluate and say, where did I go wrong? How did I allow this to happen? I need to go to therapy to work on myself to make sure in the future, this will never happen again with my next relationship. Next time around, I'm going to choose a high quality man. I'm not letting no nigga play me. So I need to be in therapy to work on my issues to ensure that this does not ever happen again. I don't want to be with a fuckboy. I don't want to marry a narcissist. So let me get in therapy so I can get my discernment up so I can heal and work on myself. You think he gonna do that? You think these niggas is going to stay single after a breakup and work on themselves and go to therapy? No. These niggas, they run and they jump and they rebound into the next relationship. You want to know why? Because they're running from themselves. They want to hide. He's got a whole history of domestic violence. He done beat up every fucking girlfriend he's been with. But the next girlfriend that he gets with, she's not going to know about his history of domestic violence. He's going to hide behind her. Then he's going to sit up and tell his family and friends Ain't nothing wrong with me. I look how fast I was able to get into a new relationship. I'm getting married in a couple months. That bitch is sick and crazy. That bitch is crazy. That bitch is the cheater, a liar, whatever. She the bad guy. No, you wasn't the bad guy. He has to run and hide and jump into a new relationship just to trick everybody into believing nothing's wrong with him. He's hiding behind his woman. He's hiding behind the relationship instead of going to fucking therapy, staying single, and working on himself, fixing them childhood issues, them mommy issues, them daddy issues. The nigga has arrested development. He's a grown fucking man with the mindset of a little boy, and he's gonna fucking stay broken. Ladies, it's not your job to fix these men. You're not his therapist. You're not his mother. That was his parents' job. And if his parents did not instill morals and principles and values, and he's a piece of shit like mommy and daddy, leave him in the fucking dust. Let another woman put up with that shit. You work on yourself, you fix yourself, and you live your best life.
Wow. She broke it down, y'all. One of my spiritual whistleblowers, she ain't going to sugarcoat nothing, y'all. She ain't going to sugarcoat nothing for y'all. There's just so much. Let's talk about Black women and mental health. Let's talk about Black women and mental health. So, when you have like a shy Black woman, right, or a Black woman who's anxious, a lot of the time people cannot believe it. There's so many Black women, they have mental health issues. They have ADHD, right? They have social anxiety, generalized anxiety. You know, they have bipolar disorder. They might have some social disorders, autism, all of these things. And a lot of time people don't give Black women the medical care that they need or the empathy that they need. Even in the medical system, when it comes to Black women mental health studies, it's much lower and it barely gets any sort of attention compared to the other way around. Right. And I could make a whole, live talking about the medical industry and medical care when it comes in Black people. So the discrimination that happens within the medical system when it comes to Black people and Black patients, right? That would be an interesting live to go through. I could do that for Black History Sunday as well. But if you look at studies, Black women specifically don't get the same type of medical treatment, medical care than other races do. It's seen a lot of the time. The empathy is much lower with us, right? And a lot of the time we actually statistically are more at risk for certain illnesses and chronic diseases than other races when it comes to like diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure. It's a high number in the Black community, and a lot of these illnesses are connected to stress levels and a lot of the trauma that us as people go through. Because you have to understand, when we don't heal our trauma, it manifests in our physical body as conditions and illnesses, right? Because there's a lot of it is connected to the nervous system, right? When our nervous system is on high alert because we have to deal with things like racism, microaggressions, feeling unsafe, all these things like dysfunctional households, that all connects to our physical body, and that can affect our health in the long run. That's why it's also important to heal, because if we heal these traumas, then it won't manifest in the physical body. It's a lower chance that it will manifest, right? So we have to understand everything is hand in hand, right? Our emotions are hand in hand with our physical body and with our health and our wellness, right? These are things that we have to really like take in consideration. I can't even hardly speak, y'all, today. Things we have to take in consideration and things we need to be mindful of, right? So we have to understand like all angles. We have to deal with society being hateful towards us and like discrimination and racism and all these things, society, also as well as like the dysfunction in our own communities we need to heal as a people. And all of that can affect how we feel. And it's completely okay for Black people to feel the way that they feel, because we're dodging bullets all the time. We're conquering all the time. We're fighting battles, right? And people don't talk about, like, racism creates trauma. Like, when you go through racism in the workplace, when you go through a hostile work environment, that's trauma. Like, that creates trauma in your body, right? That puts your body in fight or flight mode. When we're in fight or flight mode, that disrupts our hormones. Like, for me, I have PCOS, right? And I had to quit some side jobs because it was hurting my health, because it was not good for my PCOS. There's like workplaces I was in, it was way too stressful. And these were little side jobs that I was doing when I was teaching, right? And on top of me having to deal with the bad kids and really focus on my children, I had to deal with these side jobs in food service and stuff. And I couldn't stay because it was too much for my body. It was not good for my health. So I had to choose my health over me making extra dough on the weekends, right? If it was me being a host or me being a server or a bartender, I had to choose my mental health and my physical health and my cortisol levels over all of that, right? And people will gaslight, just like that girl did, that Black girl was talking about, the young girl who was walking in the street, how she was talking about, all the things we go through and we're not allowed to feel our anger, right? A lot of time people will look down on us and will be angry with us because we chose ourselves. There's so many people who don't want to see Black people win, right? There's so many people who don't want to see Black people relaxed, right? There's just so many people, you know what I'm saying? So we have to understand there's a lot of people, they are not wanting to see us happy. They don't want to see us evolve. They don't want to see us do good. And that's just how it's always going to be, right? Racism is always going to be alive and well, right? Colorism is going to be alive and well in our communities, right? But you have to make that choice within yourself. Okay, do I want a brighter future? Do I want a better me? Do I want to be in my highest self today? You have to make that decision every day when it comes to your healing and when it comes to seeking the help that you need, because this is not a game. Like, a lot of people feel like this stuff is a game, right? And Black people specifically are gaslit a lot, right? And there's even other Black people who would try and tell other Black people that their feelings are not valid. And we have to be very mindful of how we talk to each other, how we come off to each other. Because it's like, I know Black men and Black women who have gaslit me, telling me, oh, it's not okay for you to feel that way, or you're doing something wrong for feeling that way. Everybody is valid. Everybody is obligated to feel the way that they feel. Emotions are just not here for no reasons, right? There's a reason we feel the way that we feel. But we have to be careful how we address one another, because sometimes it can come off as, like I said, gaslighting, or you could be victim blaming somebody. You have to be very careful, right? I know other Black women who sometimes are pick me women. I'm not talking about anyone specific, but just in general, who will talk down on other Black women, or will, talk about themselves even to boost up a Black man or to boost up other people. You even have Black people who will also gaslight other Black people about other races of people and what they've gone through with other races, right? You have people who are coons, you have Uncle Ruckuses, you have all of that. So yeah, it's just like one of those things that we need to just deal with as a people. But yeah, like, I think it's important to have open dialogue, and I feel like it's important to, sit down and just allow each other to express how we feel, right? We can And one thing I've learned, like, I remember growing up and when I was younger, I used to feel it was normal for there not to be communication, because I kind of grew up, I was very shy growing up, And I always felt like it was unsafe for me to express myself, right? Every time I would talk about how I feel, somebody will always say, "Oh, you're too sensitive," or "You're just overthinking," right? Which is gaslighting. Um, and so the older I've gotten, the more I've realized for any sort of issue to be healed, it is so important to communicate. Communication is what adults do, right? People who don't know how to communicate, who don't know how to express themselves, a lot of time lack emotional maturity and emotional intelligence, right? And a lot of us in the Black community have been raised in households where there has been lack of emotional intelligence. We've had very emotionally immature parents or very emotionally immature father figures and guardian figures, because they didn't know how to process their emotions. They did not know how to heal themselves. And so because they didn't know how to process their own emotions, how to be mature and how to understand what's going on with them, they're going to project that same emotional immaturity onto you as a daughter, as a son, as a younger person. They're going to project that onto you and say there's something wrong with you. But a lot of the time, we're not taught to be emotionally mature, emotionally intelligent, and self aware in the Black community. And that's something that needs to stop. And I notice a lot of younger people, like specifically Gen Z and millennial, they are becoming more intelligent when it comes to psychology and when it comes to social behavior and when it comes to having healthy relationships and setting healthy boundaries. I feel like our generation is definitely, what I'm saying, is getting better with that for sure. So yes, I think that's important for us to acknowledge, right? And a lot of the time we just listen to other people to just react. We don't listen to other people because we want to understand. We don't listen to other people because we're trying to see their point of view. We just do it to react. We're defensive, right? And the more older you get, the more you realize how important it is to listen and observe and to have these difficult conversations. It's important to have these type of conversations because these type of conversations will create healing and it will create evolution, right? And we'll be able to move forward, right? You cannot heal without getting through that difficult conversation or getting through those difficult emotions first, right? Because healing is not easy. Most people do not heal. Most people don't want to heal, just like most people don't want to go to the gym, including me. I hate going to the gym, but I need to go. I have to go, right? Most people don't want to go through the process and being patient with themselves to do whatever they need to do to become a better person. But will it pay off in the long run? Absolutely. Absolutely. Just like you going to the gym and eating healthy will build muscle or create that body that you always wanted. The same thing with healing. It's the same thing emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. So, yes, y'all, there's anything I miss. Yes, I do need to change the smoke detector in my house. I know, y'all. I need to call the fire department to do it. If y'all saw how high up my smoke detector was, like we live in a house. This house is like over 20 some years old, right? And the smoke detector is so unbelievably high up. It's almost like the Twin Towers tall. Literally, it's like the Twin Towers. But I definitely know I need to change it for sure. I'm so sorry. But yeah, if there's any other things y'all want to say, I think this was kind of like a good start, right? I know when I do these type of conversations, these type of lives, I usually get backlash for it, but at the same time, I think it's important to, acknowledge these things. And I understand every time somebody comes with a truth and with light, there's always going to be a dark force that wants to stop the truth from being said, right? But I think it's important to acknowledge these things, and I understand not everybody's going to understand it, not everybody's going to even want to even finish this and just get what I'm saying, right? But I think it's important to have the conversation. But yes, and we need to just do better. We need to be kinder with each other. Like I said, I love Black relationships. I'm for Black relationships. I love it. Like I even hope one day I get in a Black like relationship or a black marriage one day. I've had dreams of that for years. For years I was stuck on that. But now that I'm gotten older, I have opened up my options and opened up my mind. So I'm whatever God has for me, I'm open to it. I'm not stuck so much on the skin color of the person, if that makes any sense. But yes. But other than that, y'all, yeah, like let's, I think the more we heal ourselves, the more we can have healthy black relationships and healthy connections within our community, because there has been a lot our community has gone through, a lot our race has gone through, right? And because there has been a lot that our race has gone through, there's a lot we have to unpack, and a lot of ancestral lineage trauma, and a lot of things, right? But yes, but other than that, y'all, that's all I'm gonna say. I hope y'all enjoyed this live. Hopefully, again, this helps somebody. If you need help, do not be afraid to reach out. Do not be afraid if you're going through depression, if you're suicidal, if you're going through anything, do not be afraid to seek the help that you need, because you will definitely be appreciative of it in the long run, right? Nobody is alone. We might think we're alone, we might be afraid, but if you just take that first step, then things will come into place. And like I said, I'm a full believer. I love prayer. I believe in God. I'm very spiritual. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you do have something called earth angels, and I believe they're real, where there's people who are incarnated on earth who are meant to help you, right? Who are meant to help you with your healing, who are meant to be of support to you, who are meant to be a guardian to you, right? And I believe they exist. And so, let them know. I always say, if you're very spiritual, not trying to make this a religious conversation, but always ask God, to send people on your path who can help you with your healing journey, and to help you get the care that you need, if it's emotionally, physically, spiritually, or mentally. You know what I'm saying? But yes, but other than that, I love y'all. I wish y'all a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll be back y'all soon, because I'm about to do Black History Sunday as well. All right. Bye.